Hi there, I'm John from CNCKing.com, and today we're going to make a custom metal stencil. My company has very recently acquired a full sheet plasma cutter, which you can see part of it right here. It's just a great machine for cutting metal. Now for this job specifically, we still use the Waterjet for it instead of the plasma cutter. And you might be wondering why. The number one reason why you use a plasma cutter is so fast. It just melts through metal. It's astonishing how well it does. It's incredibly accurate. It's just as accurate as my laser or as any other CNCs we have in the shop. They're interrelated, so you could do whatever with one, transfer it to the other, and so forth. But the reason why we use the Waterjet for this specific stencil here wasn't because it's stainless steel. I cut stainless steel just as easily, actually a lot easier, with the plasma than I can with the Waterjet. The reason is there's some details in here that are very, very minor, like this here. And although this beast is incredibly fast, incredibly accurate, the amount of metal that it vaporizes away is actually a lot thicker than with a very thin stream of Waterjet, which is just like a water with sand or garnet shooting down and cutting through the metal. As a result of that, we had to use the Waterjet to cut this stencil instead of the plasma cutter. Now just for fun, let's just take a look at the stencil here and see if we could figure out what would have happened if we used our Waterjet versus using our plasma cutter. Now for details like this here, that's absolutely no problem with the plasma cutter, all the way here. These things here, you can see they're very tight. With the plasma cutter, they'd be a little bit wider. If we're going through here, this is fine with either machine. Signatures. This could have been done just as easy with the plasma cutter as it is with Waterjet. The difference is, again, this distance here where the cut is would actually be a little bit thicker. The NO here This would have to be Waterjet cut because the plasma would probably just melt this whole area out. What you have to remember is that Waterjet cutting is a cold process. And what I mean by that is, although the water ends up getting warm if you're cutting a lot of metal, it's shooting a stream of water and sand down, and it doesn't really generate any heat. While with the plasma cutter, we're using 3-phase power at 85 amps, literally shooting an arc of plasma straight down, and that just produces an incredible amount of heat. Now we do have 120 psi, so tons of air shooting down to cool it down as it's cutting it. But you still have heat processes, so you sort of have to spread where you're cutting. Well, with the Waterjet, it doesn't really matter because nothing ever actually gets hot. It's surrounded by water, and as a result, any sort of possible heat that can start to be generated is cooled down both by the stream and the water it's in. Now, an obvious sort of solution to that, you might think, would be, well, why don't you just get a water table for your plasma cutter and then everything's in water and everything's happy. Now, there are some disadvantages and advantages to plasma cutting in water or around water. It doesn't really have that much of an effect with warping as you might think. If you have an air table like what we have, the reason why I went with an air table instead of a water table is because it's a lot cleaner cut. There's a lot less dross on the bottom side. Now, again, if you're cutting incredibly thick stuff or you have some very tight specs, we're very happy here at CNCKing.com because we just throw it on the Waterjet. I'm not stuck to using only one CNC machine for any given process. I could make something that's optimal for the parameters of a specific machine, and that's why we have incredible flexibility with the projects that we take on for our customers across North America. So if you're looking for custom cutting of anything, contact me at CNCKing.com and we'll cut it for you.